affected by the maniacal behavior of the powers that be. Human lives are the most important thing in this world. All we have is each other. And I've always talked about community, and like love your neighbor as yourself was a huge value that I was raised with in the church. It's like, if you get to the point where you can start dictating and deciding for yourself that one human life is worth less than another, what are we doing? Like, we've completely lost everything. And then I think some people have decided that for themselves, and that's how we wind up in the political climate that we're in today, both in our country and around the world. It's like people prioritize themselves and their own wants over the lives of other people. And I think that is so the most heinous thing that someone can do to someone else.
I wanted to touch on something you said a moment ago, which I found really striking, which when you were talking about the older version of yourself that you're now re-engaging with, saying that person maybe didn't love themselves or didn't have a reputation to protect or didn't have any meaning, really, but wasn't finding meaning for themselves in the world. But obviously we're several years moved on from that, and I know I can tell very clearly that's not who you are now. Is there a transformative moment, event, interaction? Was there something that happened when you were 20 or 21, whether it's artistic or personal or whatnot, that made you almost like molt and not be that person anymore?
Yeah.
What was the sort of transformation opportunity that was presented to you?
I don't know if there was like a specific event, because it was, it's just kind of like every year that I got older. And I really do think that it was every year that my career got bigger. And I don't want to make it sound like I was like, oh, starting to get successful, got to
Right.
lock it up, whatever, got to preserve whatever. But it's like every year, every testimony I got from every person who listened to my music, every friend that I made, and you start to realize, because, growing up, I had no friends. I had no friends, no followers, no nothing. It was like me and a bunch of other edgelord teenagers yelling at each other on the internet. Like, I had no sense of self. I thought, nobody sees me, so I can do whatever I want, and I can really push the boundaries of doing whatever I want. Like, I really was just like, how loud can I yell into this void and not get a response back? But then as
People
I started
yelling back.
People started yelling back, but with love. People started to approach me and say, I love your music. I love what you do. This is so important. You're a voice. You're this. And it kind of makes you realize, oh my God, what am I doing? Like why do I feel the need to be this way? And then you realize,
the art did it, basically.
Yes, but it literally was the people that came to me with love and understanding. It made me realize, oh, when I say things, it does affect other people. Yeah. It does have weight. It's not weightless. It's not in a vacuum.
Right.
This matters. And it's the same thing as like, I honestly think about the people who come from where I come from, the people who don't leave their bubble. They just yell at each other. And then I think about my mom. My mom says, through you, I've met people that I never would have met otherwise. It makes you realize, oh my God, like I'm not yelling at and being insensitive to a 2D image on a screen or like an idea of something or whatever has been parroted to you that you parrot back into the world. It's like you are real flesh and blood. And that's something that I did not begin to realize until my career started to expand my horizons and bring me into the presence of other people who come from all different walks of life, all different lived experiences. I don't know. It just changes your worldview. It's like coming from being a homeschooled, deeply evangelical child in a small town in the South that does not, you only know what you've heard, to then meeting other people, real people. You realize the weight of everything.
Yeah, weight is such an interesting way of thinking. And I find it's quite powerful, I think, you have these almost two parallel vocal selves at that time. You have what's happening on the internet, which you don't feel like there is no weight. It's just you're screaming into a void, but then you end up making music. And in a way, that's a scream of its own kind. Like that's a powerful way of expression. And there was probably a moment where you're getting more attention for the first one, relatively speaking, but then through some fortuitous set of circumstances, the other thing starts to take hold and allows you to reframe your understanding of who you could be in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is genuinely quite powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's a crazy 180 moment.
And I want to talk about music. We've been focused on
where I was
your
going.
psychodrama, and I want to talk about the music that sort of got you to this place, but also your warring impulses within that music. Because I think it's one of the things that's been very interesting to me about this first chunk of your career as Ethel Cain is the push and pull between pop and anti-pop.
Yeah.
You know, you make a song like American Teenager.
Jesus, if you're listening, let me handle my liquor.
I think a lot of people are like, she can do this? Like, why not just do this 12 times and make that an album? And instead, you know, it's slowcore, some might call it, yourself included. I know you're a fan of an artist like Grouper. You know, you're into atonal music, you're into ambient music, but you also have a little bit of a trolling impulse.
Oh yeah.
And you like to make people suffer, and you like to make people feel you're suffering. Correct me if I'm wrong. Talk a little bit to us now about that push and pull. You know, you were signed to Prescription Songs, label and publishing company of Dr. Luke, the, you know, premier sort of American hit maker of the day. When we first spoke, you said, you know, the one time you got in the studio with him, he was like, simplify this, like, don't do that, you know, let's box it in. And your reaction to that has been, you know what, I'm going to follow up my breakout success with a drone album. So talk to me a little bit about how much of that is taste and how much of that is trolling.
Again, it's like who's in the driver's seat. And like a lot of times the forefront, the first step is that like little badass kid. It's like, I want to be reactionary. I want to get attention. I want to do this. It's like with EPs like Inbred, Perverts, like the names alone, I was like, how funny would it be if I put out a project called Perverts? Like, I really do feel like I'm constantly gentle parenting myself. I'm like, okay, well, let's sit down and identify, why do we want to make a project called Perverts? Why do we want to do that? And so a lot of that came from the deep shame of, you know, sexuality and my place in the world. And, you know, again, with this allegations made against me recently, it's like these things projected onto me solely because of my identity as a trans woman. And so it started off as kind of a, how funny would it be to call an album Perverse? People would really be like, what the actual hell, Ethel Cain, what are you doing? And then it becomes an unpacking of, well, let's see, like, let's actually talk about it. Let's discuss this taboo really and like its place in the world and what it means to be me and feel the way I feel. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I'm not going to be biased. I'm just going to say this is how it feels. I try to let the 8-year-old drive less and less as I get older, but like sometimes we hop in the driver's seat and it's like, okay, let's do something crazy.
And why does that sound the way it sounds? Why does that express itself as instrumental music, as darkness, as sad, slow? Like, why are you reacting to the idea of being palatable as you might be when you write a pop song?
Right. So, I mean, whenever I first started making music, again, with no anything, it was literally me and GarageBand, I said, well, I'm not going to have a career. Nobody's ever going to know who I am. Doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. Because, you know, when I started, I was making like Gregorian chant music. I was making electronic music. I was making pop music. I was making ambient music. I was making spoken word pieces. I was doing literally whatever tickled my fancy. I was like, I can, because it doesn't matter.
You were amusing
I'm not going to
yourself.
have a career. I can literally, I don't have to have a brand or this or that. I can do whatever. That was kind of a way for me to just have fun. And it's like, if I heard a pop song I liked, I was like, oh, I can go try to make this. Or if I heard an ambient song that I liked, I was like, what if I want to stretch out this dialogue scene from this movie from the 70s and put it through Paul Stretch and listen to it as I fall asleep? Like, I could literally do whatever I want. It was a playground. And so, you know, now with people watching with Preacher's Daughter, I thought, well, I do have to be business minded. I do have to kind of clean up some of the sludgier, dronier aspects of this and make it more palatable. You know, I do have a deal. I have people, you know, who are counting on me. You know, there's money involved. This is my livelihood now. I'm not 19. I don't have a day job and I do this in my free time. this, again, has weight. I need to take it seriously. So I said, well, we need to make Preacher's Daughter something a bit more palatable so that I can continue forward and not have a dud album and then be, just by the wayside. I need to keep forward momentum, because if I'm going to get in my career, if I'm going to do this for a living, I'm going to try to do it right. I'm going to try to do it well.
Once you got the opportunity during the pandemic, you became ambitious.
Yeah.
Once you saw that it was possible to make this your life, you wanted to reach out and grab
Yeah.
that.
So I was like, let's put a pop song on there. Let's try to grab audiences. And like, if you come for the pop, stay for the drones, stay for the.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. Do whatever you want. Stay for the 8-minute piano ballad that follows it. It's like, do whatever you want. But then, I'm also human with a little bit of an ego. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of a bit of an ego. And so naturally, when I started getting into, and there were multiple reasons that I had, reticence of being labeled as a pop artist, on the selfish side, when it first started happening, I was like, oh my God, there's no integrity in pop. Pop's the easiest thing to do, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And I kind of resented the label of a pop star. But also, as someone who comes from Stan Twitter, I know the way that they treat pop stars as opposed to rock artists or, women in alt spaces. And I said, I know where I've been. I don't want my life picked apart like that. I was like, please don't do that to me. And so I said, I was very scared to get labeled that, because I thought, well, here come the piranhas. I was like, I know what you are. I was there not so long ago. But also, that's my penance. I was like, sometimes I look at this and I say, I deserve this. I did this. I deserve this.
Coming from the background that you came from, coming from the place that you came from, how do you learn to write an elegant pop song? Because that is, like you say, maybe when you were younger, you were like, damn, that's easy. That's light work. But we all know that it's actually quite hard. It's really challenging.
And you're not a collaborator.
Yeah.
You mostly make this music by yourself in your bedroom. You're not like in the studio with a million writers and producers and whatever.
Top liners and yada, yada, yada. I wonder, so where did you pick, especially as someone that wasn't exposed to a lot of pop in your early years, where did your antennae pick up the kind of toolkit?
When I say that there's not a lot of integrity in pop, but the reality is that there's not a lot of integrity and talent in Christian contemporary. And so a lot no, is very much.
Chris Tomlin is shaking right now.
Sorry, that was the first concert I ever went to.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, it was Casting Crowns and then Chris Tomlin. Chris Tomlin performed at the youth camp that I went to.
Wow.
The one Christian youth camp I ever went to. Chris Tomlin performed, and I was like, get me out of here.
I've been to a couple of Chris Tomlin shows in my day.
Yeah, by then I'd heard Lady Gaga on the radio, and I said, okay, there's better music out there. But yeah, discovering pop music in high school, and then, I love an earworm. As much as I love the idea of being a full-time cool goth rocker like my friends and my idols, I'm like, I love a damn good pop song.
And a damn good country song.
And a damn good country song and a damn good folk song and a damn good shoegaze song and I love good music. And if I can make something even half as good as the people that inspire me, I'll call it a good day. Sometimes when I started making music, I just wanted to make music that it's like, okay, I would hear a Gregorian chant song and think, this would sound so cool if it was over this opera instrumental, or, a Sigur Rós song that incorporates elements of like, you just like mix-matching shit together.
Yeah, like Taylor Swift, Sigur Rós, whatever.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That sounds like an Ethel Cain song to me.
And I was like, let's smash this together. Then let's smoke weed and listen to it and be like, whoa, this is so beautiful. And I would always slow and reverb all of my demos in Audacity. I would like slow it down really, just make it so slow and sludgy. Because like a pop song slowed down. Like I know y'all have watched that Justin Bieber Baby slowed down by 800% video. Like, come on.
But you were early to this.
You're early?
Oh, I was on that Paul Stretch tip from high school. Let me tell you what.
Whether it's chopped and screwed music from Texas, sort of early Witch House, Salem type vibes.
Yes, Witch House was huge for me in 2019.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm not surprised to know that.
Yeah, a lot of weird Polish Witch House. Obviously, I had a friend who had just opened me up to the world of like Ice Peak, Crystal Castles, Health, Trust, like all of that, like that synthier side to it. Yeah. So that was a huge moment for me.
You get a lot on FMEI's, the new, like that's the sort of synthwave pop hybrid.
Yeah, I think I actually emailed the demo for it the year that I wrote it to Calm Trues and thought, oh my God, please, I'm a huge fan. Will you put some synths on this? Cause I'm a huge fan of Calm Trues, like love that 80s, the 80s synthwave, like false nostalgia, whatever. Like I eat it up every time. It's like, it's not hard to make synthwave that really just gets me going. I'm like, yes, it's licensed to drive. I'm 16 years old. I just stole a car. I'm having fun.
You also said earlier, maybe you want to go away a little. Maybe you want to live a little, travel a little, have new experiences. Does the Ethel King character sustain and have room for that new living? Or is that new living potentially something that'll end up in art that's outside of the Ethel King character?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. Ethel King was kind of where I found my success with, but there's so many things I want to do besides Ethel King, you know? And I've asked myself, will I change my name? Will I not? Like, well, like, how am I going to do this? I don't know. There's a million and one narratives that have nothing to do with Ethel Kane in my head that I am practically bursting at the seams to explore. And for a while, I kind of pinned myself into a corner and thought, oh, everything I do, even if it's not necessarily narrative, I have to cram it in and find a way to inject it and make it work and this and that. But it's like, no, I want to write for myself. I'd love to write with other people. I want to collaborate with my friends. A lot of my friends are very, very talented artists who inspire me to this day. I would love to work with them. I would love to make TV shows. I would love to do books. There's so many things I'd love to do. I don't know if I'll get to all of it. The world is a free, like it's a sandbox. It's like I can do whatever I want. And
especially now that you have the resources and the audience. And I wonder, before we get to our snack portion of the day, like how that time away from the spotlight is working for you. Is it working? You said something the first time we spoke before Preacher's Daughter came out to me that you wanted to be like Enya or Joanna Newsom, where you could just go in your little hole, hide out for a couple years and then pop out when you have something worth sharing with the world. I think that's part of, as we touched on at the beginning, you living in these remote locales, let's call them, that I think are also inspiring for you aesthetically because of where you're from, because of your interests. What is that time in between records and in between tours like for you? Is it how you want it to be, or do you need to change that moving forward after this release?
Oh, I needed it. I kind of like leaned in, obviously, even as somebody who doesn't really care about like the glitz and glam of this industry. It's fun. It's exciting every now and then.
And you've dipped your toe.
Yeah, it's like it's fun to go do Fashion Week or to go do this or go to a party, but it is not sustaining for my life. I love to be alone. I love to be in the middle of nowhere. I love to be in the woods. I love to be at home. Barefoot. Pickup truck. Just crashed my truck and I refuse to get it fixed because I'm like,
the same truck that you bought
like shit.
When you signed your record deal?
I just love, I'm like, put me there.
What kind of truck, if we can ask?
I drive a Chevy Silverado.
Great.
A work truck, rubber flooring. Filthy. Rusty.
Sounds amazing.
My dad's always like, you got to get it fixed. I'm like, no, I want it to look like yours. So I'm like, I'm doing this because I love you.
I learned from you, Dad.
It needs patina.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not, I'm do this. So I'm like, when that semi truck hit me on the way to Atlanta, I'm like, I don't want to get that dent buffed out. I want to keep it. But that's just how I was raised. Like I was raised in the South, country girl. My dad was a trucker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Like I grew up in a trailer. I'm like, I'm sorry. Whatever people think, like that was my life. That's what I want.
And there's no pull, Silver Lake or Brooklyn or, it's
nothing.
not like you've continued to not be tempted by that lifestyle.
I would not have been showing my ass on the internet like that if I would have had people in my life talking about, you can't do that. Nobody was telling me not to do that. I wish
more artists would not live in Silver Lake.
Okay,
I think it's crucial to your artistic practice, and I'm frankly impressed. I did not think you would stick to it, if I'm being totally honest.
One thing I think is so crazy, I'm like, if you